with Hunter Baumgart, bringing it to you from the all-new Iron Jock studio, built by Reamer Remodel. My name's Drew. That gentleman there is KB.
What's going on, brother man?
Well, we're going to talk to Wayne Larrivee momentarily, but first I have to tell folks that the nationwide keyword to put $1,000 in your hand this hour is check. That's right. Check to see if you want to check. You have until 55 minutes past the hour to enter the word check when prompted at 973thegame.com or 1070thegame.com. That is check. This hour we'll have another word. Next hour, Hunter will remind me to remind everybody because I'm contractually obligated.
I'll try.
Let's get to our favorite, the voice of the Packers, Wayne Larrivee, joins us. Our conversations with Wayne are presented by Steam Fitters Local 601. Learn more by visiting steam601.org and the National Fire Sprinklers Association. Visit them at nfsa.org. Wayne, we only have like 205 more days to wait until a meaningful tackle football game in the National Football. What do you want to talk about?
I think we need all 225 days. Let's get it together now. Okay.
Let's get it together. Watching the Super Bowl, I was struck by the fact that the Eagles are really good, and the Packers began their season with a loss in Sao Paulo, ended their season with a loss in the playoffs, and I don't think they're that far away from being as good as the Eagles, and we'll find out because guess who's visiting Lambeau Field next season? The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a ball game. I can't wait to see that one. There's a lot to be done in the offseason. A lot of things will happen with these two teams. The Eagles won't be the same as they were this year, and neither will the Packers. So it's a matter of who gets better because nobody stays the same. You either get better or you're getting worse in this league, and that's going to be the case.
Go ahead, KB.
I was going to say, did you expect that game to go that way?
No, not really. I thought that the Kansas – I knew – well, we talked about this on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I told you Philadelphia had the best roster, 1 through 53. But, some of the other intangibles that come into play, I expected that to be a much closer game. Number one, I expected Steve Spagnuolo's defense to keep that game close, and I think they were playing pretty well. But the offense with the pick six and the turnovers just let them down, and Kansas City never got into enemy territory until the late in the third quarter of that game. So as good as your defense is, it's not going to hold up when your offense isn't giving it anything to chew on.
That was the stunning thing. There was no magic between Mahomes and Kelsey in this game. He just couldn't find anybody, really. He didn't have time.
Drew, the four-man rush, this is the thing that we talked about so much in Green Bay. And why do you need a four-man rush? Why can't you blitz? The element of surprise, all the stuff that Spagnuolo does with his blitzing, that they did in Detroit, blitzing and generating pass rush pressure. And really that's how the Packers got home as well. Blitzing and changing things up, doing stunts and that type of thing. The problem with that is that you compromise your defense elsewhere and you become vulnerable to the big play, either on the ground, where if the running back breaks through the initial line, he's got all kinds of running room, or in the secondary, where maybe somebody gets beat in a one-on-one situation. When you can rush with 4 and cover with 7, that's why Mahomes couldn't find anybody all day.
That makes a lot of sense. A friend of mine texted me during the game, Wayne, and he said, don't you think if you could change one play in the season, that opening kickoff return fumble by Keyshawn Nixon, which could have been a penalty and wasn't, might have changed the course of history, perhaps?
Well, in fact, he recovered the ball, too. That's the other thing the replay kept showing. Yeah, people said, well, there was a helmet-to-helmet hit that they never called, and yeah, I understand that. But also, it appeared Keyshawn, if you talk to him, he recovered the ball, and they yet awarded it to Philadelphia. That could have changed things a little bit, no doubt about that. But the game of football is a game of momentum, and that was a huge momentum burst for the Eagles and put them on top right early. And had that not happened, maybe the Packers go in and do something and play on the lead, and that could change the complexion of the game.
I would love to talk to Keyshawn about that, but he's busy recruiting players on social media. He's putting out feelers to Devontae today, telling him to turn up. There are players trying to recruit. You got Josh Jacobs trying to recruit Devontae, Max Crosby. There's a whole lot of that stuff going on these days, Wayne.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I don't know if it's legal to say this or not, but wouldn't you like to have a Max Crosby on that defensive line? I'm just saying, as a fan, I'm just sitting on and saying, wow, that guy, and the thing about him is he answers all of the criteria. Hardest worker, first guy in, first guy out, the last guy out. He's that kind of player. And And boy, that's the kind of player that can make such a difference on that line.
He signed for 2 years, and people talk about Myles Garrett, who would then need an extension and stuff. And I mean, either one of those guys would be game changers, right, Wayne?
Absolutely. And I think Max is a little younger than Myles Garrett. Myles may be 30, 31, but still at the height of his career, just a tremendous talent. I don't know. Again, Cleveland says they're not going to trade him. The Raiders have said they have no intention of trading Max Crosby. As we all know, things can happen as we get into the off season here.
So, Wayne, you called the 85 Super Bowl. That Bears defense, amazing. How does this Philadelphia, I'm only going to say the front four, how did they stack up against the Bears up front? And they had Dent and who was it? Dent, Refrigerator, Perry, McMichael, and Dan Hampton.
Yeah.
How does this one stack up? Because I knew their offensive line was amazing. I didn't know their defensive line was that vicious.
Yeah, I didn't either, really. And I thought the Packers did a good job of, in some cases, neutralizing them, although Jordan was under pressure during that playoff game. But no, I think the Bears, it's hard to compare the eras because the way the Bears played, you can't play that way anymore. Okay, but I would say I would give the edge to the Bears front four because the Hall of Fame talent on it. And I don't know how many of these Eagles are going to end up in the Hall of Fame off of that line, but it's probably one of the best, obviously, defensive lines in the game today.
Talking with Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Packers here on the Drew and KB program. New episode of the Larrivee and LePay podcast available wherever you get your podcast right now. It's with Rick Gosselin, the dean of NFL writers from Dallas. Oh my goodness. You can get it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, presented by UW Credit Union, here for every you. He's the guru of special teams, but he knows everything and everybody in the league, Wayne.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I've known him for a long time. We started in Kansas City together, and he went on to Dallas, and I went to Chicago. And he's just a great writer, great personality, and he's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee and gave us some great insights into the whys and why nots in that process. And so it's a good listen on the podcast coming up.
It just posted, and I want to listen because I want to know how Mike Holmgren didn't get into the Hall of Fame. There are lesser coaches that are already enshrined, and Mike Holmgren's still on the outside. And it's something, it'll change when Aaron Rodgers finally retires. But why do Packers people have to wait? Jerry Kramer, Leroy Butler, Sterling Sharp, Mike Holmgren. Why do we have to wait? We should go to the front of the line.
I'm with you. I'm all for it. Let's go to the front of the line.
Yes,
let's sit in the front of the plane.
Holmgren had the results, took 2 teams to the Super Bowl, has a coaching tree. He not only his work as a coordinator in San Francisco on those great teams with those great players, it boggles the mind that, I mean, we lost it when one guy didn't vote for Ichiro Suzuki, and now they don't leave Holmgren in. And where's the national outcry? I want to know. Be. I'm getting worked up here, Wayne. You can tell.
I get it.
It's classic.
Okay, Wayne, we had a caller hit the text line and said, I just want to get your first reaction, first word that comes into your mind when I say this. Here's the question. He says, Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. Can it happen? Go.
No.
All right, there we go.
Well, that complicated fella is complicated again. The Jets don't want him. What do you think? Wayne, where do you think is a good fit? There's a select number of teams that he could go to if he decides to play again. This is going to be another soap opera. Where do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking on the podcast with Rick Gosselin about that, and the general consensus was, don't count out Pittsburgh. I mean, they took on the Russell Wilson baggage for a year. It didn't quite work out. I know that Rodgers and the head coach out there have a great appreciation of each other, Mike Tomlin. And so, Pittsburgh might be something, maybe a sleeper in that process. I don't know.
I've heard Pittsburgh, Vegas. He wants to go somewhere where they have a chance to win, I would think, though.
You know what?
Vegas is a long way from that.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting, Wayne, was your comment saying that they took a chance on Russell Wilson and that didn't work out so well. They were 10-7.
Yeah.
That worked out okay.
Okay.
He
And
was
they
hurt.
lost their last 5 or 6,
Well,
wasn't
that's true.
it?
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. But I mean, 10-7 is nothing
Yeah.
to sneeze at.
Well, it
but-
wasn't. That's not Jets bad.
No, no,
Wayne,
it's not.
it's funny because if they go to Pittsburgh, Wayne, one of the most common conversations we had down in New Orleans was that the Steelers are going to play a game in Dublin, and there was rumors for a while that they'd be playing against the Packers. And then depending on who you talk to and what time of day it was either the Packers are absolutely going or the Packers are absolutely not going. It seems like it's trending toward them not going. In fact, the latest rumors is that the Packers will play in Germany, not this coming season, but the season after. I'm wondering, Wayne, if you're in charge, would you do another international game? Would you do you want to see the Packers do that? If it's up entirely to you, football stuff aside, just for Wayne Larrivee, would you want to go overseas again?
Sure. Yeah. Ireland would be a good place to go. Germany, I've been there too. That'd be great. Excellent beer in Germany. You know,
Oh.
You do it. You
a
do
lot
it
of
in
gardens
Germany.
of beer in Germany.
You do it. You play that game in Munich between the 20th of September and the 10th of October. Look out.
Oh,
That is one place Wisconsinites can't drink out of beer.
they don't need the added spectacle, but they would probably have to play it earlier in the season. But that was the rumor, and we'll see. But having two iconic teams with legendary fan bases that travel in the Steelers and Packers would be pretty epic.
I was thinking about this, Wayne. Would you be up for this with Drew and I? If they go to Ireland, we should go, and then Drew, Wayne, and KB. After the game, we take you on a trip around the pubs of Ireland.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You
I'm
in?
all for that.
So the three of us will take, and there'll be an extra 5 days added onto the back end of that trip, and we are your escorts through the great pubs of Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
As long as
plant
it's
that seed.
As long as there's
Talk to Tyler.
bye week behind that.
It's a
Yeah,
bye
absolutely.
week behind it.
Yes. Well, I mentioned the Packers have a road game against the Steelers. It'll probably be in Pittsburgh. Well, a lot of folks said it would be in Dublin. But I looked at the road schedule, Wayne, and there's some good cities on there. The Giants, well, whether that's, it's fun to go to New York, even though they play in New Jersey. The Browns, Cleveland, like Green Bay, fervent fan base, short flight. Dallas, Pittsburgh, Denver, and Arizona. That's a pretty good road slate as they go.
Yeah, Dallas and Denver, especially, I look forward to. A lot of friends down in Dallas, and a great place to see a game. And Denver is the best and one of my favorite cities in the country, and always enjoy going there for a game because that fan base is really great too. So yeah, some good. And New York is good. I mean, that stadium to work in, guys, it for us is as good as it gets. It really is.
The Packers, the Giants aren't any good, but the Packers playing in New York, some of these just smell nationally televised game to me. Like obviously the Eagles coming to Lambeau, that's going to be a primetime game.
I would think so. Yeah.
I would bet the mortgage that that's not a noon kickoff, but that, anytime the Packers go to New York, it seems like, well, they'll put them on Monday night, and that'll be a chance for, the Giants to get a little bit of exposure in primetime on the Packers, coattails.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. But, between now and the off season, I mean, this is now Goody time. This is where he and his staff work their magic. And, there's some things they can do with this football team. They have the resources. They have, a young team, a good core. They can really make a couple of more inroads in free agency, just a couple, and then add to it in the draft. And then hopefully this draft class they just had, you get an offensive lineman back, you get, a running back out of that class. And they've had some great production from the players who were healthy enough to play this year. One more good draft class, and this franchise will be on its way.
The hierarchy of needs, there's been a lot of talk, and we at the Super Bowl, especially Josh Jacobs kind of mentioned the need for a number one wide receiver. There's a lot of talk, Devontae and the T. Higgins is out there, that the need for that number one guy. But where is your hierarchy of needs? If Wayne Larrivee's the general manager, what's the first thing you address? And I know it'll probably be the status of Jair. They got to figure that situation out. But then in terms of position, is it edge? Is it defensive line, like defensive tackle? Is it corner? Where would you put the priorities?
It's really a toss-up between two positions, and that is number one wide receiver, if you can get one, okay? If you can get one. And number two would be a pass rusher. a guy who can make a difference on that defensive line. That's not going to be easy to do too. And in order to get that, you're probably going to have to either delve into free agency or make a trade to get one of those big time guys. But those are the two positions where if you could get that done, I think would solve a lot of problems. Now people say, well, they could use another cover corner. You can always use another cover corner. There's no doubt about that. But I think if you have a better pass rush and have more coverage in the secondary, you don't have to be quite as good at cornerback if you can do what Philadelphia does with its defensive line.
All the Packers need to do is find a diamond in the rough like Zach Bond, pay him $3.5 million, and have him be like the defensive player of the year, basically, and a Super Bowl standout. That's all it takes.
Hey,
find a guy like that cheap.
He's a free agent. You know that?
Well, and Nags reminded us the other day, they did hit with Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas, kind of guys. Like Devondre Campbell was all pro and was forgotten and out of the discount bin. They grabbed him.
Yeah,
So,
no question about it. And, the other thing I really, Gutekunst and his staff do a great job with pro personnel. I mean, their pickups, almost all of them hit in one way or another. Maybe not forever. No, nothing's forever, but Devondre Campbell was a great pickup for a year or two and then kind of, got a little stale. But, all these guys that they've been able to pick up have made a huge difference.
okay, for the last time before the draft, Wayne's about to go skiing and just relax for a while. KB, hit us with a learn about Larrivee question.
And I know this is something that I can't tell you, Wayne, how many times I've been out and people ask me about you. What's he really like? I said, he's a great guy. He's a super guy. I love hanging out with Wayne. And then they always, I don't know where this comes from, but they always want to know the answer to this question. What is your favorite freshwater fish?
Favorite freshwater fish?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be for eating. You just might,
You might just have a
affinity for it.
let
I
me
would
check my
say-
aquarium.
Fancy the bluegill.
Could be panfish. Could be a panfish. Northern pike.
Is salmon a freshwater fish?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You get it in Lake Michigan, right?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
go
think
with salmon.
they might be bi.
Yeah,
might be-
could be.
they
No,
could be.
salmon's freshwater. Yeah, I think so.
Well, they go from the
Yeah,
ocean.
Atlantic salmon. I guess you're
Yeah,
right.
and they
But
they
they
can
are.
go. They swim upstream into the fresh water.
Yes.
I will look that up for you. But yeah, we're gonna let salmon.
We'll go.
We'll let
We'll
it
go
go.
with salmon.
All right.
Salmon.
Very good.
Yeah.
There we go. Now I don't.
Grilled with some lemon.
There we go.
sounds good to
And now
me.
I know. Next time someone asks me, it's a
Amazing.
salmon.
Yeah, but
The salmon. Quit asking me.
I promise, KB, the next time we go out to dinner, I will not take you to the St. Paul Fish House in Mequon. I'm not going to do that.
Not
Not
gonna
gonna
do
do
it.
that. to me.
I like the fish. I like
Amazing.
that, but I'm not going to make you eat salmon if you love it
Wayne,
that much.
thank you for joining us. We will talk to you as the draft approaches. Enjoy
You got
your next ski trip and enjoy your off season. You've earned it.
All right, guys, take care. All the
Okay.
best.
All right.
Wayne
Talk to you
Larrivee,
soon.
voice of the Packers. Oh, frequent.